This time we're jumping right in with my favorite thing in the whole wide world, Python. Obviously, you guys know I love Python. I'd like you to be able to write something that can look through a log file and tell me if a particular IP address is in the log file or not. So say I want to be able to give you a log file and you say, yes, this IP address is in the log file or not. And let's just start with that. Another hint would be, how do you prompt for user input? Now I showed you the difference between input and raw underscore input. Input is how you take in integers. Raw underscore input is how you prompt for a string. It's how you take in a string. Then how do you search for a string in a list, right? So how do you check to see if an item is in a list? So here's a possible solution. F equals open, read the log. Lines equals f dot read lines. We've already done that. Here's the IP address for string in lines. If the IP is in this string, print the string. It's a nice little down and dirty one-liner. Let's give it a shot. Okay, let's take a look at that. So F, open the access log, open it as read. Lines equals f dot read lines. IP, here's the IP address, for string in lines. So you're saying for this string in this list of lines, if this IP address is in the string, print the string. So I hit enter, and now it prints out every case where that IP address was. Okay. Now you can do the same thing, right? Maybe in there you want to put a list of SQL injections and buffer overflow strings and all of that, and you can just write a tiny little command line IDS where he looks through logs and it's got a list of attacks. So all an IDS is just, do I see any of these in my log files, right? So you can write a little command line log parser that takes a list of attacks and tries to see if it sees any of them in your log file database, right? Okay, so here's another solution. Okay, so what's going on here, we're going to start with user bin Python. We're going to open the log file just like we always do. Now you're going to say, okay, string user input. Okay, you allow the guy to enter in his IP address. Now you're going to say for line and iter f, so iterate through your log file. The IP line split, there's a space, a dash, and a space, and you want the field on the left, field 0. So when you look at a log file, you've got the IP address, then you've got a space, dash, space. Now if you want field 0, this is field 0. Because you have a dash and a space on both sides. So this is the really cute trick. Line dot split right there and call that the IP. That's the real kung fu. You saw that space dash space and you said that is the delimiter. So every time I see that, know that whatever's to the left of it, field 0, is the IP address. If the IP equates to what user input that the user typed, print the line. Now we just need to give it an IP address. Okay, there's our IP address, and he prints out the lines with that individual IP address. Really simple log parser. And you can do this for anything, like if you want user agents, if you want query strings, if you want, SQL injection or cross-site scripting or whatever, really not that hard. All right. So it starts off with Python. It's the interpreter. We've already covered this, right? Open the log file for reading. Now we want to take each element, right, every single line, and store it in a list. That's what this is here. Now take in that user input, right? We always do that with raw input. And now for IP inlines, if IP.find, right? And then we look for IP. If it's not -1, in other words, if it's valid, print the IP. There we go. Print out every log, every log entry that had it. All right. If I can help you learn about who we are, and hopefully, if you're willing to join us. This is InfosecAddicts.